trailer. Please bear with me as I have to make some last minute adjustments. We're just few seconds away, or in fact, almost a minute away. Yeah.
During the process of getting the astronauts checked into the spacecraft, communication cables must be attached to their suits. They also have to hook into the suit circuit system of the spacecraft that brings oxygen into their suits. And one of the suit technicians who's located behind them to give a hand as they check in. And we're standing by for further reports as the checkout continues. 120 feet down, the work continues as ground support equipment. The technicians still hard at work tightening bolts.
Now, for those of you who are wondering why there is so much excitement, at least from my end, when it comes to the Fantastic Four from Saudi Arabia, from the GCC, the reason is that um, when we were growing up in Saudi Arabia back in the 80s, we only had two TV stations. One was Saudi Channel 1, the other one was Saudi Channel 2. And the first ever superhero animated series that we ever came across from DC or Marvel. Of course, there were some other superhero characters like uh, Mighty Man and Yuck. So the first ever superhero animated series, to my living memory, was Plastic Man, which is a DC Comics character. And at the same time, we would watch the reruns of Fantastic Four 1967 animated series that was produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. And from that point onwards, we became fans of Marvel's first family
This is a
from the
Future
very beginning.
Foundation live broadcast. Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage.
And so this was our first introduction to the Fantastic Four. And we came across Galactus, we came across Doctor Doom, we came across the Silver Surfer, Mole Man, so many uh, you know characters from that part of Marvel universe. And from day one, the Fantastic Four basically uh, made us fans of sci-fi and the world of superheroes, if you will. Please be reminded that this is a time when Spider-Man animated series was yet to be broadcasted on Saudi television. What we had were basically uh, we had what was the Incredible Hulk series, live action series starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. Um, on the other side, we had Plastic Man, we had from DC, and we had the Fantastic Four. Few years down the line, when we started to get more superhero animated series, starting with Spider-Man 1981. In one Ramadan, I still remember, because Ramadan was the time in Saudi Arabia where they would introduce new animated series, sitcoms, live action series uh, for the audiences. So I still remember that the 1978, if I'm not mistaken, the 1978 Fantastic Four animated series was actually broadcasted during Ramadan. I think it was in 1986 or 1987. And this was the first time we in Saudi Arabia and the GCC came across a character called Herbie. We never understood why Johnny Storm was not basically like part of this animated series, and why were we supposed to have the series where we have Ben Grimm, Reed Richards, Susan Storm, and Herbie? So many years down the line, in fact, after maybe a few years ago, I learned that at the time, because this series was produced in 1978, Marvel had sold rights of Doctor Strange, The Incredible Hulk, and the Human Torch to Universal Media Group or Universal Pictures. So Marvel had no right to use Johnny Storm in animated series because those rights were actually held by Universal at the time. Okay, fast forward to today. Right now, with all that was done for the Fantastic Four, there was a project in the 1990s which never took off, and followed by the early 2000 Fantastic Four by Fox, which basically came after the X-Men, and then another attempt by Fox which had Michael B. Jordan starring in it. Uh, as someone who basically got introduced to the Marvel's first family via the animated series, and then later on I became uh, a huge fan of the team because of the comics I read, and I still have some of those issues, the ones that have survived. I also have the Coming of Galactus, but it's pretty stacked down. Otherwise, I would have shown you the cover of the Coming of Galactus trade paperback, written by Stan Lee and illustrated by Jack Kirby, when Galactus and Silver Surfer make their first appearance. Uh, it was, how should I say, long overdue that we needed to have a proper live action adaptation of Marvel's first family, because later in life, when I started to study more the comic book history about each and every character, especially the ones that I love, uh, it was Fantastic Four comics that really started the Marvel age of comics. Now, when we talk about the Marvel age of comics, this is the time when Marvel started to, you know, uh, started to pose a challenge to DC Comics, which was a giant at the time. Why? Because DC Comics had Superman, had Wonder Woman, had Batman. They had their uh, super team before any super team ever existed. And here I'm talking about the Justice Society of America, not Justice League.
This
Justice
is
League
a
would come
Future
in the
Foundation
60s,
live broadcast.
whereas Justice
Stay
Society of
tuned for
America
more
was
fantastic
formed much
coverage.
earlier. In fact, it inspired Marvel, which was known as Timely Comics in the 1940s, to come up with their own super team, which was called All Winner Squad. And here's the fun fact that All Winner Squad had two Human Torch as their members. Now, these Human Torch or torches, I don't know if this is going to be the right way to refer to them grammatically. These were not Johnny Storm. One of them was an android. The other one was, I believe, a superpowered individual through some experiment, uh, and his name was Toro. So you had Jim Hammond, who was the name given to the android. This is before Vision, who was the Human Torch. He is known as the original Human Torch. And then you had um, then you had the Toro version of the Human Torch, and both of them, by the way, were members of the All Winner Squad, along with Captain America, Namor, and some other heroes from the timely era. Uh, so in 1962, I think, it was Fantastic Four, Stan Lee's biggest and the riskiest pitch uh, to Martin Goodman, and he, because Martin was pressurizing Stan Lee to come up with a team that would rival Justice League of America, which was a huge success in the comic book world at the time. Stan Lee was not having that, he was not seeing things the way Martin was, to put it politely. He, along with Jack Kirby, they brainstormed and they came up with uh, the Fantastic Four. And the rest, as they say, is history, because things just went crazy after that. And Marvel started to come up with new characters who would redefine the entire superhero genre. A standard or a benchmark that was set by DC Comics back in the 40s was actually redefined by Marvel, led by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, um Wally Wood, Bill Everett. Uh, who else can I think of?
Got
So these were the
a couple of
these
changes
were the
here.
individuals, and what
Quick
you're going to be
here.
looking, what we are
And
going
in
to be looking
general,
at is,
what we're looking to
basically
do is
the
use
team that
P-22
was the
back
catalyst
at the
to
command
all of
post for
the
one last look
Marvel
at
that
second
we have
position
today
there.
in the form of MCU.
And
It has
we
been a
know that
great
P-27 is
travesty, in my
P-22
opinion,
and
that
the first ones on the checklist, and the rest of them are a couple of
um,
minor changes in the checklist. The main one being that
not a lot was
we
done
do
for the
not want to be
Fantastic Four.
running a
In fact, one
rerun
of the most embarrassing things that was
on
ever done
securing the
to
ascent.
Marvel's first family was the fact that their comic book title was actually cancelled. So, their comic book title got cancelled, and you know, Johnny Storm was killed off. Uh, then he was like. Brought back, which unfortunately Marvel has made a habit of since uh, they killed off Jean Grey in X Men during Dark Phoenix saga. We never have had a proper serious death that has occurred. I think the only death that remains valid to this day is the death of Gwen Stacy, Spider Man's love interest, which happened in the 1970s. So, anyhow, we are 12 minutes into the live broadcast, and we are still seeing the timer, and it
This
says
is a Houston
45 minutes.
Foundation
So, we have
live
45 more
broadcast.
minutes to
Stay
go.
tuned for more fantastic coverage.
Yeah, 45 minutes. Okay. So, I'm going to remain live till that time, because I don't want to miss the opportunity to basically like. Why is that? Because this for me is as important as Superman. Superman is the icon. Okay, Superman is the character that you
The
know
weather conditions and
gave
around the
us the
world track,
superhero
according to
genre,
reports from the manned space flight
which
and the battle
started with
systems,
comics. Then it
indicate all
transcended
weather
into
conditions are
animation. Then it
acceptable for
transcended
launch.
into live action series.
Houston,
Then
you
it
need to go to
transcended into video games. Then
PCS
it
and
transcended into
torch
movies.
token and do the
So
P-52 torch
Superman
token
is
again.
the
So
icon that gave us the term superhero, uh, thanks to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
it's well stocked.
Fantastic Four gave us superheroes who were relatable to us, who were a reflection of our lives, or our society, or the society or the world that's right outside our windows, right outside our houses, our neighborhoods. This is what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby gave to the superhero fandom back in the day. A lot can be shared about Fantastic Four, and in fact, what I'll do is I'll let me bring out some of the comics that I have, and I'll show it to you. I'm really glad to see that 40 people are watching my live broadcast. I'm really grateful to all of you for joining in despite your busy schedules. Please share this live broadcast with your friends and family members who are fans of Marvel, who are fans of Fantastic Four, or who are fans of the superheroes that we grew up watching and reading and stuff. But please don't go away. Just give me a few minutes. Let me bring my old, really old comics of the Fantastic Four. I'm sure you guys are going to like that. Please bear with me. So I still have to get some other issues, but
Emergency detection system working with the launch crew
this
here in the firing room and also the
is
spacecraft
my
team in
very
control
first
rooms back at
Fantastic
the
Four comic,
spacecraft operations building.
which my
All is
mom
going
and
well
dad
with these
had
tests
bought
at the
me
present time. We're flowing
back in,
hydrogen back
I
into
think
the
it
third
was
stage of the Saturn V launch
1986
vehicle in
or
loading the hydrogen
85.
aboard. But we are
Now,
getting the
as you
hydrogen
can
back in
see,
to replenish the supply.
the corner
All
box
appears to be
art,
going well at this
this is
time.
after
Weather
the
is go.
Secret
This
Wars
is launch
event had
control.
taken place. Why am I mentioning this is because Secret Wars event had taken place in 1984, and Ben Grimm had decided to stay at the battle world, to remain there, because he had found a love interest. His his uh, body healed back. He returned to his human form, and basically She Hulk would replace him, as you can see over here. It's one of the best eras in comics. Why is that? Because this era showed us that John Byrne, who was the the quintessential artist of X-Men in the 80s, who worked alongside Chris Claremont, who launched Alpha Flight, Canada's super team, he would be given the task to not only write but illustrate the Fantastic Four. So let me try and see if I can find some really good panels. And by the way, Daredevil is guest starring in this issue. And this is the storyline where Susan Storm had
This is a
become
Future
Malice,
Foundation live broadcast.
her
Stay
dark
tuned for
version.
more fantastic coverage.
So you can see, even though the cover has ripped apart, but still I have kept it.
Roll complete and the pitch is
You can
programmed.
see Daredevil. Now, for those of you who are saying that why Susan's outfit is covered, whereas the Malice outfit is pretty revealing, the reason is that back in the day we had quite a lot of censoring going on in our part of the world, and
Okay,
basically
let's go over to surface
any
station.
publication that would be having
And
men
down the
and
middle of the
women
page,
in a revealing,
after voice
highly revealing
redaction
outfit,
system
they would
recommendations
get
this in, I'm going to add the
censored with
switch
the
effect.
stroke of a marker. And so that's why you see that difference, if you will. And it was really hard to get comic books at the time in Saudi Arabia. And a lot of the times, what used to happen was that uh, basically, we would basically be, how should I say, asking our family, friends, and relatives to bring us comics. Sometimes we would be lucky, we would be able to get them, but things started to improve. by the end of the 80s, like 1990, when we started to get comic books directly at our bookstores, the famous bookstores that were bring us comics, the famous bookstores that were basically uh, out there, and they were bringing us books and stuff. So they would be, and plus we had our own version of newsstands. So newsstands, slightly similar, but we had indoor newsstands. We would find them inside the malls. We would find them inside the supermarkets, because of the extreme weather that we have over here. And we would get all of these publications from the US, from UK, even from mainland Europe, in different languages like Le Monde from France and Der Spiegel from Germany. So these newsstands basically would be bringing us comic books, which were distributed by a local
First,
company
getting the
called Al
astronauts checked into the
Khazindar.
spacecraft, communication
I
cables
still
must
remember
be
the name,
attached
and
to
I
the
have a
suits.
comic book
They also have to hook
that
into the
has
suit
their
circuit
tag,
system of
price
the
tag over
spacecraft
it.
that brings
So
oxygen into their
Al
suits.
Khazindar would
Then
be
one
the
of the suit
distributor, the
technicians
importer and
located
distributor
behind
of
them
these
will
comic
give a
books, and
hand as
then
they check
the
in.
retail outlets
We're
would be
standing
the
by for further reports as
newsstands.
the check
Uh,
process continues. 120 feet
the
down, the work
newsstands
continues in the
that were
ground support apartment.
inside,
The technicians will
as
house
I've
our
said, the
technicians.
malls and supermarkets, major supermarkets chains, and so forth. So uh, that was the time when we started to get comic books, whether it was Superman, Batman, Justice League, Spider-Man, GI Joe comics that were being published by Marvel. Most of my collection of GI Joe comics that were published by Marvel come from Saudi Arabia. And by the early 90s, my dad and my mom, what they did was um, they basically uh, gifted me subscription. So I would get Marvel comics by post, uh, s- delivered here in Saudi Arabia. This happened in the early 90s. So we initially started out with subscribing with GI Joe comics. Later, we added more and more, because
This
it
is a
was my
Junior
agreement with my
Foundation
dad
live
that
broadcast.
if I study
Stay
good,
tuned for more
he would
fantastic coverage.
basically like he would buy me subscriptions. Uh, he would buy me subscriptions of my favorite characters, and for some reason I always opted for Marvel comics subscriptions. Maybe because at the time DC comics were widely available compared to Marvel. I might be wrong, my memory may be a bit fuzzy, but like for example, I still have that Superman issue where Superman reveals his secret
Falcon, I
identity to
understand you want us to do
Lois
a
Lane.
P-57
And
relieve and then a P-22. Is that the general idea? Over. That's affirmative.
this
So
famous issue
just
that
to
was
assist you
written
there,
by
uh,
Roger Stern,
down the bottom of the page, just
who had
after
left Marvel
after two recycles, the
and
gap
joined
time of
DC.
122 plus 15.
So I ended up subscribing to X-Men. I ended up subscribing to GI Joe, Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, and sorry, I'm just making a post while I'm chatting with all of you, just to let the community know. Okay, so the Amazing Spider-Man, Wolverine, Cable, X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, yeah, GI Joe. So those were exciting times, but a lot of my comics got lost in the mail. That's another sad reality. That basically, like, that's part of, um, how should I say, my journey of collecting comics and being a superhero fan. One interesting bit that I still remember is that in 1994, my parents had arranged for us a plan. They planned for us a really awesome uh, summer vacation in the US. And this was our very first time. And it was a dream come true. Why? Because the US was the place where you could
Okay,
easily buy action
it's going to
figures. You
be
can get
for
all the
1 minute past
comics
on
that you
the
wanted. You
disconnect
could,
there.
uh,
So at the
I
top of
mean,
the
the
page,
cinemas, the
just
movies,
enter
and everything.
EPS
So in
Jeddah Float.
1994, this is the same
And,
year when Jack Kirby
okay, it's 10 feet,
had passed
clear to
away,
one
the
close.
co-creator of the
And
Fantastic Four.
prop,
And
descent, helium,
when we
bridge,
reached there,
flash,
yeah,
zenith,
I think when we were about to depart for the US, the comic
and then
book, the
after
last comic stack of comic books that
stabilization
we got
control,
via mail,
AELD
it
close,
had that
dead,
famous uh, uh, announcement by Marvel about Jack Kirby's death. And that was a pretty somber moment. Why? Because up until that time, because in 1994, I'm like 14, 15, or 6, maybe 14 or 15, maybe. So my knowledge was still sketchy about the creators, the co-creators of our favorite characters, and that was the moment I realized that, okay, Jack Kirby, the art that amazed me since childhood, those uh, panels of seeing the Thing or the Black Bolt or Mr. Fantastic or the First Family as a group, the colors, the of course, Jack didn't do the coloring. He was the one who did the sketches. But you know those panels of Fantastic Four showing Doctor Doom, they really had a lasting impact. I mean, I still feel mesmerized anytime whenever I'm going through my trade paperback of the coming of Galactus or uh, any other graphic novel that has Jack Kirby's art. I'm just blown away. And you know, Stanley and Jack Kirby, they
This is a
really,
Future
really
Foundation live
did something
broadcast.
amazing. Anyhow,
Stay tuned for
so
more
in
fantastic coverage.
'94, when we reached the
nothing
US,
holding
it
here is
was around the
MCS
time
control.
when this
Minimum
story
deadband rate level
where
with the limit
Reed
cycle
Richards
on.
was
Just
presumed
as a matter of
dead,
curiosity, if you guys wanted to
and
do
the
another descent.
Fantastic Four were basically like
Yes, sir, Roger, we
traveling
got
back
that.
in
We've,
time.
we've been figuring
They
you'd
were
make it. Jeddah.
traveling back in time when the Avengers
Copy.
were formed.
To pleasure.
Uh,
Gamma waiting in.
when when
Roger, confirm.
when Galactus was
Okay,
about to
get that.
descend
The
on planet
ground
Earth,
checklist handy if something wrong with
and
that
they
delivery.
had
Over.
this interaction with
How can you make contact for this one?
UR2, the Watcher. It was a very intriguing storyline, and one of the things that I really find valuable about comics is the fact that there are a lot of stories that have been written, that have been published, with amazing art, amazing stories, but they remain underrated. They just didn't get the exposure that some of the other storylines got. And this story is actually one of those stories. And this, in fact, was the first time I came across Reed's father, Nathaniel Richards, who for those of you who are not aware, is Kang the Conqueror in Marvel Comics. One of the many iterations of Kang the Conqueror. In fact, he is the main iteration of Kang the Conqueror. And just a quick update that I'm coming across news or rumors, I might call them right now, not verified yet, but Marvel is considering a strong rumor that Marvel is reconsidering introducing Kang into the MCU with Jonathan Majors playing the role. So th- that trip remains really memorable for me for a lot of reasons because we got uh, loads of comics. I mean, like my parents had bought me a huge stack of comics, and
Got a couple of changes to your surface checklist here. And in general,
and
what
one
we're
of
going to
those
want you to
stories
do
happened
is
to be the
in
Fantastic Four
P22,
story, which was
tracking the
like,
command
you
module for
know,
one last
and
hangar
when you're
configuration
young,
there.
this was a time when
And
we would
this
feel
will be
that
over
superheroes would
C57 to
never die
P22,
or
and then we press on to the
nothing can
checklist, and the
happen
rest
to
of
them.
them are a couple of minor
Even
changes in
though
the checklist.
uh,
The main one being that
I had come across two
we do
deaths.
not want the
Uh,
rendezvous radar
I hadn't read The Night of Gwen
on
Stacy died, but
during
two
the
deaths of
ascent.
superheroes before that. No, in fact, three. Because in 92, they killed off Superman. In the 80s, they first killed off Jean Grey. Um, they first killed off Jean Grey as part of Dark Phoenix saga. And then the death of Warren Worthington uh, in X Factor. Yeah, that was a really shocker. Shocking moment, if you will. A huge shocker. 25 minutes 25 minutes to the launch of the Fantastic Four trailer. Anyways, I have been talking for quite some time. Viewers on YouTube, viewers on X, you guys have any queries? You guys have any comment? Please share it with me. I would love to get back to your comments,
This is a
to your
Future
queries, to your
Foundation live
questions.
broadcast. Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage.
And please stay with me uh, on this live broadcast. I'm really grateful to all of the viewers, most of them who have joined me on X. I hope uh, my community on YouTube also joins in good numbers and big numbers.
The weather
Let me see
conditions
if I can
around the
find
lunar
another
track,
comic book
according
to
to
show it
reports
to
from the
you
Manned
guys.
Spaceflight Meteorology Group, indicate all weather conditions are acceptable for launch.
Houston, you can go to PTC attitude and torque at your and do the P52 and torque at your convenience. Over. Okay, we gotta take some more pictures, Charlie. Is there any constraint normally on staying here for a while? No, sir. It's well stocked.
This is something a bit interesting that I have found, which involves two main characters of Fantastic Four. In the 1970s, Marvel did a comic title called Supervillain Team Up. And at that time, Namor was also a supervillain. So Doctor Doom and Namor teamed up against Captain America, and this story was connected with the Avengers storyline also. You can see over here, and later Red Skull gets involved in that too. Uh, okay, to the Spider-Man comics. Oh yeah, I told you guys about the distribution company in Saudi Arabia that used to distribute comic books back in the late 80s and the early 90s. So this is Al Khazindar. You can see for yourselves. And this is a Daredevil comic, which was the only comic that survives with me, written by Anne Nocenti. And the price for Daredevil comic is 6 riyals. So let me calculate how much was it in dollars. And how was it almost the same as the cover price in the US? Okay, so $1.60.
This is a check of the emergency detection system,
So
working with the
in
law
those
enforcement here in the
days,
firing room and also spacecraft team and
comics were
control
being
room
sold at
at the
75
manned
cents
spacecraft operations
in the
building. All
US.
going well with these tests at the
In
present
Saudi
time. We're
Arabia,
flowing
they were
hydrogen
being
back
sold
into
at
the
a
space
dollar and
classified
60
launch
cents.
vehicle in loading the hydrogen aboard. But we are getting the hydrogen back in to replenish the supply. All appears to be
Let me
going well
see
at
if
this
I
time.
have an
Weather is
issue
go. This
of
is launch control.
Fantastic Four. Was I really need to organize my library. Okay, let's see what we have here. I think I might be able to get the coming of Galactus. If you really want to know the history of Fantastic Four, this is also a very good book that you can consider reading. It's Marvels by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross, one of the best ever. Oh, yes, I found it. Yeah. My trade paperback of The Coming of Galactus. Ta-da.
This is a Future Foundation live broadcast. Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage.
Let me show you. Uh, oh, look. Agatha.
Roll complete and the pitch is programming.
Agatha Harkness.
One Bravo.
Okay, now this trade paperback collection
One Bravo is a abort control mode.
has all the major Galactus
Tranquility
stories.
Base Houston, did you get
The
those
ones
two
that
on
were done by Jack Kirby,
propulsion circuit breaker?
later by John Buscema, and further later
Roger, I have those two.
by
Okay, let's go
John
over
Byrne.
to surface 60.
Now,
And then down the middle of the page,
two
after launch guidance system
stories,
recommendation
like
then.
the first
Can
one
I
when
add the
Galactus and Silver Surfer get introduced, these stories were basically written by Stanley. But the one that was done by John Byrne, so John Byrne was the one who basically wrote as well as illustrated, and he is one of my favorite uh, writers and artists because it's just like his work is exemplary, if you will. And one thing I have to share with you guys, unfortunately, Marvel wasted this opportunity big time, and I'm talking about Marvel Studios, not Marvel Comics. Uh, Secret Invasion. Now, Secret Invasion is a story that has a great deal of involvement of the Fantastic Four in comics. In fact, they were first introduced in Fantastic Four comics, the Skrulls that we are talking about. Here you see you are to the Watcher. Now, most of the Marvel's space uh, characters, they basically are, most of them have been introduced in Fantastic Four comics. There are some that have been introduced in X Men. There are some that have been introduced uh, in the Avengers. Now look at this Jack Kirby's illustration. Just look at it. Futuristic.
During the process of getting the astronauts checked into the spacecraft,
This one is done by John Buscema.
be attached to their suits. They also have to hook into the suit circuit system of the spacecraft that brings oxygen into their suits.
Yeah.
And one of the suit technicians who's located behind them
See the art
will
of
give a
John
hand
Buscema.
as they check in. And
Galactus.
we're standing by for further reports.
I just hope
as the check
that
operations
whatever is
continue.
being planned now by
Then,
Marvel
while the work
Studios,
continues as ground support
they do
equipment and
justice with these
technicians are hard at work
characters, their
tightening bolts.
stories, because we've had so much of mishap uh, in the past few years since Endgame. I'm not gonna say that everything was good before Endgame. Infinity War was the best. Endgame was good. No Way Home was amazing. But No Way Home, people don't count it as MCU. They count it as a shared universe with Sony. But after No Way Home, we have yet to see a major blockbuster. The only uh, movie that has now broken the jinx, if you will, is Deadpool and Wolverine. That really came out strong. Amazing work. Aside from the fact that what your views are on Ryan Reynolds with all the scandal going on between him, his wife Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni, for me personally, it was quite disappointing to learn that Ryan is that type of a person. Anyhow, keeping that aside, giving the person his due,
This is a Future
he,
Foundation live
along with Hugh
broadcast.
Jackman,
Stay
along with
tuned for more fantastic coverage.
Sean Levy, they saved the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in fact, one of the things I just remembered while I'm chatting with all of you is that I still haven't watched the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man. So I have to do that as well. Seems really promising, especially, that connection with the 1960s Steve Ditko art, that the stories that were written by Stan Lee. Um, that this was the time when Stanley wrote those famous words, with great power comes great responsibility. Of
Okay, I
course,
understand you wanted to
the entire
57,
panel is
option 3
structured in
is
a different
then
way,
if P52 is
not
the
like
general idea.
what we came across in um,
Surface 50 there.
Sam Raimi's
Down the bottom of the page, just after you hit
a
control at the
movie,
two recent
the Toby Maguire
and a
movie,
time of
where Uncle Ben
122
actually
plus 15.
um, reminds Toby Maguire about the relationship between power and responsibility. So, yeah, now we are down to 13 minutes. Let me just make another story for Instagram so that the community. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I am also quite active on Instagram. So you can follow me there as well. I'm also active on Facebook, and yeah. Initially, I was thinking of getting online at 5 p.m. because it was first reported that the trailer would debut at 5 p.m. Saudi time. But
Okay, this is going to be
upon
some
checking
more
out
fine sand on the dip tank there.
the
So at the top of the page,
the posts
just
that were
after
coming in from
EPS
Marvel
inverter
and
1
from
close,
Fantastic Four accounts
add.
and all that, it
Okay,
turned
just
out
after
that no,
EPS
it
inverter 1
might be
close,
happening a
add.
bit earlier, and I'm
Off.
really glad that
VSAT,
uh, I
helium,
went live early.
reg,
Otherwise, I would have
combination,
missed out
vent,
big time.
close. And then after stabilization control, AELD close, add.
And once again, to each and every one of you who has joined my live broadcast, I'm really, really, really grateful to all of you. I love you guys. Thank you so much because it means a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you're not following me on X, please do that. That really helps me a great deal. We're down to 10 minutes. We're down to the last 10 minutes.
This is a Future Foundation live broadcast. Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage.
I've been holding here in SCS control, minimum deadband rate low with the limit cycle on, just as a matter of curiosity if you guys wanted some fuel numbers from that. Houston, Roger, we copy in. We've been figuring it out. Okay. It's a pleasure to be able to waste gas. Roger, that's affirmed.
Oh, sorry, I've been talking for so long. I just need to take a little bit of break so I can save up or muster up my energy for the live broadcast itself. Sorry, the trailer itself. We're already live. Okay, let's just see. Am I missing anything? Let's see how many minutes remain.
Got a couple of changes to your surface checklist here. And in general, what we're going to want you to do is P22 tracking the command module for one last hack on your position there. And this will be, with P57, P22, and then to press on with the checklist. And the rest of them are a couple of minor changes in the checklist. The main one being that
The 60s vibe is just
we do
perfect
not
in
want
this
the
one.
rendezvous radar
If you can hear the
on
commentary
during the
going on,
ascent.
it's like you're in Cape Canaveral or you're in Houston at the launch site itself, just like it used to be in the old movies, sci-fi movies. Oh boy, the level of excitement, it's indescribable. Man, I'm really getting excited for this one. Community on X, people who are watching on X, I'm really, really, really happy that you guys are here with me. I hope more people join in on YouTube. And yeah, just that's about it.
This is a Future Foundation live broadcast.
Future
Stay tuned
Foundation
for
live
more
broadcast.
fantastic coverage.
Okay, less than 5 minutes remaining. Less than 5 minutes. Wow. God, I love it.
The weather conditions and the round-the-world track, according to reports from the Manned Spaceflight Meteorology Group, indicate all weather conditions are acceptable for launch.
Houston, you can go to PTC attitude and torque at your and do the P52 and torque at your convenience. Over. Okay, we gotta take some more pictures, Charlie. Is there any constraint normally on staying here for a while? No, sir. It's well stocked.
To all those who are joining me on YouTube, thank you guys. Still, I need more viewers on YouTube. X, the community on X, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. 3 minutes. Oh boy, 3 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, I've just learned that one of our
This
esteemed
is
community
Deputy
member,
Major C.D.
Omar
Henderson,
Al
Grim,
Minai.
working with the launch crew here in the firing room and also the spacecraft team in control rooms back at the Manned Spacecraft Operations Building. All going well with these tests at the present time. We're flowing hydrogen back into the third stage of the Saturn V launch vehicle in loading the hydrogen aboard, but we are getting the hydrogen back in to replenish the supply.
Okay, we
All
are
appears to
now
be going well at this time. Weather is go. This is launch control.
less than 1 minute or less than 90 seconds away from watching the trailer, the launch trailer. It's coming in, baby. It's coming in, baby.
This is a Future Foundation live broadcast. Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage.
Stay tuned for more fantastic coverage. Anyhow, guys, if you are on X, you're on YouTube, you're watching my live broadcast, please make sure, if you have any queries, if you have any comment, feel free to share it. I'll try to get back to you live on these, on your comments, on
The
your.
weather conditions on the round-the-world track, according to reports from the Manned Spaceflight Meteorology Group,
What the heck?
indicate all weather conditions are acceptable for launch.
Houston, you can go to
Oh, come on.
PTC attitude and torque at your
They
convenience.
added 1 hour
Torque at your convenience.
just
Over.
now.
Okay, we gotta take some more pictures, Charlie. Is there any constraints thermally on staying here for a while? No, sir. It's well stocked.
So I think they will be. The trailer is gonna be launched at 5 p.m. then, because now the timer is showing 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 45 seconds. Live stream is about to begin. Okay. So I think there's going to be a pre-show or something. Man, I hope they don't add another hour to it, man.
Live from Rocket City, USA, inside the legendary U.S. Space and Rocket Center, the Future Foundation and Marvel Studios welcome you to a truly historic moment. Presented in dazzling, Fantastivision. And now, your guide through the cosmos, Angelique Rocher.
Okay, so
Hello and welcome. We are here live at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, home of Space Camp, preparing to launch. That's right, the first official trailer for Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four: First Steps. Now, as you can see behind me, I am joined by my flight crew this morning.
so 1 more hour to go.
Hundreds of the most
Man, I was hoping they would do
fantastic
it.
fans in the entire world, because we are about to thrust this
Okay, guys,
next
so
phase
we are in this
of the
together
Marvel
for 1 more
Universe
hour.
with the official trailer for this next phase of the Marvel Universe.
Right now, they're doing the pre-show.
They're so excited.
Lots of
And
Marvel
what better
fans
place for
in
this
the
launch than
audience.
here among one of the world's largest
To those of
collections
you
of
who are
space
joining in right
artifacts,
now,
rockets,
I
engines,
was
and
initially expecting
spacecraft.
that the
Excitement is in the
trailer
air,
would
and as
be
you can see,
broadcasted
so
at
is
4 p.m.
the
Saudi
Saturn
time.
V rocket.
For some reason, I was having a hunch. I guess I was wrong in that. The
That took
trailer is going to
America
be
to the moon
broadcasted
and
at
developed
5 p.m.
right
Saudi
here in
time.
the Rocket
So
City
we have
Space
less
Center.
than an hour
But before we get the
before we
go
get
for
to
launch,
see
we do have some
the trailer.
very special guests
I
joining us,
hope they
experts who
start
have
at 5 p.m.
traveled here
sharp
to
rather
help us
than going a
with
bit
our
early.
final flight readiness checks.
because one of the
Please
things is I
welcome
don't want
Marvel's
anyone to
first
lose out on
family,
this one.
Evan
Fantastic
Ross
Four,
Backrack,
the
Joseph Quinn,
Marvel's first
Vanessa
family,
Kirby,
are
and
too
Pedro
important, too
Pascal.
important for uh, the world of superheroes, for Marvel fans. We're now seeing the cast of Fantastic Four, all of them: Vanessa Kirby, Pedro Pascal.
We're gonna get you to.
Yeah, Mishal. Okay, just you still have to wait till 4:30, anyways,
All
Mishal. So
right. I
maybe,
don't know
maybe,
if I
maybe
have to
you're
say it,
lucky
but may I
that they might
present to
broadcast
you
it early,
the
but I think it's
Fantastic
quite doubtful
Four?
right now. Mishal Saad is joining me from Al Khobar in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
Mishal Habibi, thank you for
oh
joining
wow.
in
You look fantastic.
in the live
Look at you.
broadcast.
Oh, thank you.
You look like you're ready to go to space.
I mean, my white boots are ready for this.
Yeah.
And
So, I gotta ask, team. We're about to take this into the stratosphere. We're about to launch this first official trailer.
okay,
What do
Mishal,
you
would you
want
mind
fans
telling
to feel
us
when they
which
get to
movie are
watch
you
this
gonna
trailer for
be
the first
watching
time?
at
I just want
4:30?
them to love it.
How could you miss the trailer of Fantastic Four? Anyways, just joking, just kidding, man. But really grateful, Mishal,
Now,
for letting us know
Vanessa,
that you are
you
watching our
have
live
spent a lot of
broadcast.
time embodying this, and you've said so many incredible things. What has been the most
Habibi, God bless you, man. انت
what have
عسل
you
يا
loved
طيب.
the most about bringing this world to life, and what do you love
Okay.
most about Sue Storm?
Anyhow,
Honestly, these three. It's been, they're the most iconic. They are Marvel's family, and you can't really manufacture chemistry between people, and you can try, you can act it, but we didn't have to. I mean, from the minute we all met, it felt like a family, and that was everything. I mean, that's really what the heart and soul of it is. And I was so blown away with Sue.
yeah, I thought too, Mishal, that it would
Incredible.
be
She's a
4
mother.
p.m.
She's so like
because
fiercely feminine.
the
She's
timer
maternal.
was
She's
basically
so
like
badass, and I just like love
giving the
her
impression that
badass in my English accent.
it's going to
Yeah, and
start
I
at
just
4 p.m.
badass.
There wasn't
On the
clarity
morning show.
on behalf
On a
of
morning
Marvel
show.
Studios and Marvel's
That's
official
somehow you
account that
made it sound
exactly at what
cooler.
time it's going to be there. Initially, it was reported, even though even
Joseph,
I did the same thing on my social
I saw everybody
platforms,
checking
that
out the
it's going to
Saturn V
be
rocket
broadcasted at
boosted,
5 p.m. But
behind us.
somehow
Yep.
the kind of
And what do you
confused
think
messaging
Johnny
that I
Storm
came
would
across
think of this place?
from Marvel,
What do you think of this
it gave me
place?
the
Oh,
impression
high
that maybe it
ceilings,
might be
smiling
shown
faces.
earlier than
I think
expected.
he'd love this place, yeah. As do I.
Oh, you're watching Seven. Hope you enjoy, Habibi. Hope you enjoy. Really
There's
happy
a
for
lot
you.
of room to maneuver.
So
And
right now we
speaking of
have
someone who had a lot of
Pedro
room to maneuver
Pascal
in the movie, Eben,
and
you gotta tell me a little something. Like, just a little teaser.
Eben Moss
What did it
Baccarat.
feel like the
I
first
always
time you got to
struggle
say it's
remembering his name.
clobbering time?
Vanessa Kirby and Joseph Quinn.
Oh,
Fantastic Four,
oh, you're making me think.
who are going to be
You know what?
who are
We
possibly
could
going
do
to
a
be
little
leading the
experiment.
next decade of
Everyone could
MCU,
turn to the
just
person
like the
next to them
Avengers had
and
done
conjure as much
before them.
love in their heart and whisper,
Uh,
"It's clobbering time," and everyone can feel that for themselves. Maybe that's a
I
better way
really
I
to
love
go
like the
about
this.
this.
casting.
Would
Should
you
we
like
do
me to
that?
give you a
I'm
countdown?
not gonna
Yeah.
say I have
All
any
right.
complaints
Guys,
other
Rowdy,
than
you
the
ready?
fact that Pedro Pascal has a mustache,
All right.
and my favorite
One,
version of Reed
two,
Richards is
three.
the one
It's
without mustache
clobbering
or beard.
time.
But then again, I mean, if he can play the role of Reed Richards
Now,
perfectly, just like it
Pedro,
was
we've
envisioned
seen
by
some
Stan
sneak
and
peeks,
Jack
we've seen some hints, some photos,
and
but we're about to watch
John
the
Byrne
official
and many
trailer
other
for the
amazing
first time.
writers that
What's
came
going through your
along, like
mind?
Jonathan
I've
Hickman,
already answered the
Ed
question.
I know, but
Brubaker,
I'm sorry. You're
and
closest to me, so you get
Walt
two.
Simonson.
As
Let's not
everyone's been
forget Walt
saying,
Simonson, one of the great
I haven't
contributors
had
to
an
the
experience
Fantastic Four
in a cast as intimately as this one,
mythos.
where It felt like
So
a family, and the anxiety I felt saying goodbye to them each day, wondering, when will I see them next? So to share that with everybody, because we put our hearts and souls and
let's
bodies into
just
this
try to
thing, as did our
hear
entire
what.
crew and our director, and it's just our hearts, and to get to the day that we get to start sharing it with everybody and making all of you a part of that is really a special, exciting thing.
Well,
Pedro Pascal is a valuable addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I am hearing
Great
from
actor.
my flight
I mean, I
director
really
that we
enjoyed
have been
his
given the go for launch.
role in
So,
Wonder Woman
Fantastic Four, I've got
84.
so many more questions for
A lot
you,
of
but the systems are ready,
the
and we have
community
got to get this out to
who
the
are
world.
Star Wars
So, if you
fans,
could circle
they love
around
him
that,
for
actually, you know what? You're
Mandalorian.
there. Put
Many
yes,
other projects
you're
he
right,
has
put it
done are
right there.
amazing.
We're gonna get a fantastic, like a family.
Oh,
We're
the
gonna hug her,
famous,
and now. My flight crew, you are part of history, so I'm going to need you to give
just like
me
in the animated
everything you
series, they
got
would
when
show.
we get to this. Oh, well, we've got 10 seconds. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch!
Oh, yes!
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
Herbie, how's that sauce coming? Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. Okay, is this guy good or what? I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip, okay?
T-5. Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah. Best looking, he means.
And Johnny never caught fire.
That's the Ben Grimm look.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi.
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
The Human Torch. It's clobbering time. Galactus!
As a family.
Ho ho! Man, it perfectly captures the essence of the Fantastic Four from the Silver Age of comics, the Marvel Age of comics, just like Stanley and Jack Kirby had imagined. Even though, yes, Pedro Pascal is fashioning a mustache. Oh man, Ben Grimm's voice is softer, not as deep and dense as it's supposed to be.
Before we get into tariffs,
the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan,
we should talk about
Again,
the chicken war.
guys,
The chicken war is a clucking good story.
man. Thank you to each and every one of you who joined in. This trailer made my day. I love the CGI that they did on Ben Grimm, the Human Torch, that 60s vibe. The interaction, the chemistry between Reed Richards and Susan Storm, Herbie, but most importantly, looking at Galactus. I don't know if that old man is actually Reed Richards' father, Nathaniel Richards, or is that some other character? I need to look into it further. But I'm really happy. I am really happy. Michelle, I hope you watched the trailer. I'm so glad that they showed, they broadcasted before 5 p.m. Otherwise, all the hard work would have gone to, or the waiting would have gone to waste. But it's a promising start. We recently saw the launch trailer for Superman, and I fell in love with it. I love this trailer as well. We are off to a very exciting year. If you guys want to check out uh, what's the, what's the outlook for this year, check out my last Superheroes of Arabia live broadcast, where I had the honor of hosting some of the leading movie reviewers from the region. Check that out. Uh, I've done a specific live broadcast about the expectations from Superman fans in Saudi Arabia and the GCC. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining in. And still, you guys can share your comments. Please do that. Like this live broadcast, share this live broadcast, uh, share your questions, share your queries. I mean, I have lots to share with all of you guys. Okay, I have lots to share with you guys when it comes to the Fantastic Four and every other character that we have and we love. Thank you to each and every one of you. I just love the trailer. I feel happy. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. And I'll be seeing you guys next time.